Hey everyone, this is Tracy with Color Me This. Today is the Daily Color Big, episode 278. We are approaching the finish line on this lovely garden shelf page. I am now going to work on, we finished the other day, it was Saturday, with about the bottom shelf. I see some shadowing, but I really didn't get to the bricks. So I thought today I would start at the bottom and work my way up and kind of meet with the work that we did last week. And then I've also done a little bit of work on this side, starting to flesh out the ivy. But the next time you see this after today will be in its finished state at next week's weekly color. I did toy with the greens for the grass, and I believe I am going to, again, I always end up getting pretty fancy, and then I've realized, this is a very large page, there's a lot going on. Let's just keep the greens the same. So I am starting with 42, which is my lightest green of the greens. I did uncover a darker green, one darker than what I have been doing with the ivy leaves, so this is the lightest, is 42, and then the other two colors, I'll bring them out. I don't have them in my right hand like I do normally. And we are just gonna jump right in so I can get all of this finished with you guys. And then we can go back to small victories for the rest of the week. So thank you for visiting today, and welcome back if you are returning. I hope that you enjoy my content. I color a little bit every day, and when I color, I video it. I'm not a like a fancy do all the bells and whistles coloring book person, because I am actually new to coloring books, having just started in the end of March. Not new to colored pencils, not new to coloring, but new to coloring in coloring books. And I do this to relax and unwind. I have a bad back, so I just thought I would share this with everybody, because I think that anybody who likes art and enjoys relaxing while still keeping busy, coloring is a great option. I am not keeping my coverage consistent. I see some darker areas, lighter areas. I'm doing my ovals, light pressure. These are the Brutfuner squares. I don't even know what episode I'm on, 6 or 7. I don't go fast. I'm a very slow coloring person. If I were to get really particular and want to be very precise, which was the coloring world I was involved in before this, I would be coloring this for 40 plus hours to make it look real. And I'm just trying not to stress that much. I want to color a little bit every day. While my husband is napping, I'm relaxing, hanging out with you guys, talking about my coloring, and I tend to share bits and pieces about my life as I go, because even though I could just sit and be quiet, I could add music. I just think it's easier to just keep it simple, not have to do a lot of editing. So there's my lightest layer of the grass with 42. Again, not wanting to overthink it too much. Overthinking seems to be something I am really good at, so the whole exercise of coloring, where I just make a decision and go, has been very good for me. So now I'm moving on to the second one, which is 81. The numbering scheme of the Brutfuners is completely nonsensical, as many of the sets are, so it's not like they're in numeric order in any way. So I am curious. I feel like you guys, if you're following me, you know my sets. I do rotate through all of my sets of pencils. I do not spend the only length of time I spend is really the big, where I am doing the whole page with one set of pencils. So that might be 8 to 9 episodes to finish the set. But for small victories, I rotate through them, and so you've all seen every set of pencils. I now have a nice arrangement because I've been coloring in small victories for many months now. So if you go to my search engine in the channel, I'm just kind of going wherever there's blades gets the darker, and I'm not being very scientific about it. So if you type the word of whatever pencil set you are interested in, if I own it, I will have done multiple colorings with it. And when I color, because I always talk a little bit about the pencils, pretty much almost every time I am coloring with you guys. I was thinking of getting pretty elaborate. My background is in the web and high tech and doing coding and advanced things in like Excel, databases, and so I was thinking of logging which pencil sets so that you could pick a pencil set and see a list with a list of links to all of my videos. But then I realized the YouTube will actually, in their search tool, give you most of that. You get a little extra fluff sometimes, but you, for the most part, are going to get the videos that I have. So we will see if I eventually come up with an elaborate kind of a search, look up retrieval tool, stronger than what you get with YouTube itself. But I am pretty happy with it for now. I use it all the time when I'm trying to search for different, either I talked about something, color references. So that is the second color. I'm going to go to the darker color. 80 is the darkest that I have gone on the ivy. Let's pop up here. So these ivies, the darkest color I've used right here is this. And today, this is 80. I have found an even darker color called 79. See how the colors don't make sense? The numbers don't really line up. So let's go a little one darker, and then we will get on to the bricks and the shadows. So we are just about finished with this page, and I want to move right along. So I did a random number generator with you guys on the weekly review. I have my 3 pages. All I need to do today is photography, and then I need to post the choices so that you guys can help me decide first what page we're doing. Then from there, I will think about a little bit of quality of life for me. Which pencils do I think that I would enjoy using to do whatever the winner is? So that is going to be coming next. I think that will be all I'll need is those 2 polls, and then I can just move right along. I will have one more episode. I try to do 2 episodes of this big, and the rest of the time I work in the small victories. Unlike this particular series where I am making some random choices, I am going through Small Victory, my very first coloring book, front to back. And it's not wearing on me yet. I imagine at some point it will, and I will wish that I didn't have to color the next thing in the book, but I am over halfway done, so I'm making really good progress. I'm just going through, and I'm actually focusing more along the bottoms of the blades of grass. And then there's all the dark, which I'm going to add some grays here in the shadow sides. And are going to move right along because I don't want to take all my time doing grass. But I also don't like to rush. Very much not a rusher. My husband does everything fast, fast, fast. I do not. So we kind of balance each other out. All right, so I will get that poll up today. I am so proud I finished. I have a different channel that I have ran for years. It has, I think I've said, over 700, just about 700, around 700 videos. And so I now am down to doing one big monthly video. And I finished it, and I really loved it. It was for the Christmas card kit for the company that I am a demonstrator for. Okay, we have one last color that I don't even know really what color this is. Let's take a peek very softly. Yeah, so that's just even darker. Again, 79. I'm gonna have to remember if there's any ivy bits up above here that I would like to see even darker than what color 80 can do. I don't know that I wanted that to go that far up. See how I've got the brick going all the way down here? I got a little sloppy there. But that's what our eraser is for. So this is the time of year in my community. It's a seasonal community. There's maybe it's 50-50. It used to be 40% of the people stayed year-round and 60% left. I'd say it's about 50-50 now. So people are returning, and next week will be class. So I host a coloring group. I don't even know if it's technically a class. I last year spent a lot of time teaching, trying to get new folks to be comfortable with coloring. So I have now decided a theme for this season. We're in the second season of coloring. I am cleaning that up. And I want everyone to color. So I'm going to be doing raffles. They get tickets all season long. And for every, you get a raffle ticket for every page that you complete. So if I provide pages for the most part, people are certainly welcome to bring their own content. But if I see them coloring it and they finish it, they get a ticket for every page they've finished. So for me, this year is all about coloring. Not just swatching, not doing little techniques and samples. I am a wonderful love to tweak and make little swatch pages and technique pages. I did a lot of that with everybody last year, and this year let's color, color, color. So that is going to kick off. It's technically, yeah, next week is, no, I actually just told, I had somebody return, and she came to get a coloring page to work on, and I told her class was next week, and now I need to text her and say I was wrong. We have 2 weeks off. There are certain months that the gap between the first and the third Tuesday and Wednesday, which is when I host these group meetings, means that next week is an off week. So we've had 2 weeks off. So I hooked her up with the, I've got a whip with the word fall on a ladder with pumpkins, and she is working on that. All right, I will clean this up more on my own time. I have sitting right here my 3 brick colors. Light, medium, and dark. Light, medium, dark. I dropped the lightest one at the very end of coloring last week, and I broke the tip. So I sharpened it, but it might need a little more. A scratch piece of paper here. I do have 100% tile throughout the house, which means when pencils fall, I'm very sad because they tend to break if they land tip down. Alright, so these are our three. The darkest is also my shelf wood color. So 64, 67, and 114. I'm going to start with the darkest. I want to get right in here. I showed you that this right here is the height of the bricks. And this is all in shadow also. This color, 114, matches the ink in this book perfectly. I will be focusing mostly on the objects and the shadowing around the objects. As I move away, I will finish the coloring of the farthest away, like over here on the far left, and on the far right, I'll finish those areas on my own. Technically, this is all solid, and I'm assuming my light source is up higher, so I am going to softly shade in the whole area. Long ovals. We do have the 3D of the brick sticking out from the wall. And then we have this lightest color is actually the mortar. Gonna go ahead and block that in. Going back to the dark. Now, I am not necessarily the best light source, you know, like if we wanted to walk through the logic, my light source is somewhere up here, you know, up coming down, and so I've got the pots show the light straight ahead, but it's really up, facing down. And so for the 3D of the chair, we have this seat that is casting shadow along pretty much the whole height of the chair, you know, because it sticks out about however far out a chair would stick out, 20 inches maybe? So pretty much this whole wall is in shadow. I do have my book folded. Like I said yesterday, I had tried keeping the second half, the right page, flat, and I just couldn't do it. It is not comfortable enough for me. So this works the best. I also noticed using Hub's phone that there was, so I should talk a little bit about this. The phone it was overexposed at the top, so I am not using a light today. This is natural light. We'll see if that's a little bit better. That was kind of what I was getting the gist of saying about the filming. But now what I did is I went ahead and blocked with 64, which is the taupey color, all along here. So now when I'm doing my darker in a light layer, I can feel it. So I have the 230 filled in. So sometimes you want to do that so that you already have your lighter color. There are instances where you want to put your white down first so that you can feel it and it behaves a different way than if you didn't have that white down at all. And that is, again, what the natural color would be on this mortar if I didn't have shadow. So now I'm taking the natural color of it and I'm casting it in shadow with the darkest color. And I am just I'm trying to be less, see, I did vertical all through this top part. I actually don't really like it. I needed to make it ovals. Direction is really important in coloring, especially with pencils. You can do a lot of textures just by changing how you're laying down the pigment. And this is not the most comfortable angle for what I'm trying to do. I even have that lightest color at the very bottom. Okay, so now let's we're brightening up. Let's see how light is the camera. So right under the seat is going to cast more of a shadow, and then same with this sidebar. If I were doing a real drawing, I would have the reference photo, so I wouldn't have to be just inventing what I think the shadow would be. I also am going to have shadow on the grass, so I'm taking 114. In a way, 114 is my darkest gray, rather than using actual gray. Alright, so that's that. Now we have some shadows behind the chair. And I am going to do those similar to how I've done the shadows on the shelf. They're not going to be as over-covering. Depending on where the light source really is, there could have been this shadow line at an angle, and some of this might be in light directly, but I'm not gonna fuss with that. Just not gonna do it. I will be finishing this, and I have my new to me coloring book, and I'm going to do a quick flip through for episode 279. I'm very excited. It is realistic, as real as can be since dragons don't exist. Very nice artwork that I found to give me a second style of dragons, and then it has unicorns, which are horses, and so I'm very excited. It's a used book. I did find one page just now that is colored, and that's it in the whole book. So I'm pretty excited about that. I've been spending a little time here and there emptying our bins that we had all our stuff in. Trying not to have to need to get more storage, but there's definitely I'm gonna need more cabinets. Gonna have to find some places to hide my bins strategically, because I'm not going to be in a hurry to purchase more cabinetry. Okay. Okay, so technically, I have the light source being in the middle of the front of the pots, but I will be focusing more on the left. This all has left-sided. I haven't even done, you can't see the top pots way up here, and I haven't even shaded those in yet. So even though the shading is in the middle of the pots, I will be focusing the shadow on being on the left side. I mean, I could put, as we hit the middle, I could definitely add some shadow. A little bit, there's even a little shadow put there. Put it a little bit on the left, or the right side, as we approach the rightmost side of the page. I feel that the biggest impact for a page or an image that you're coloring drawing is the lightest lights and the darkest darks. Hub has popped in. We'll see if what he's up to. I'm going to pause really quick and check in with him. Alright, Hub is settled. I did push the right button on his phone for the filming, so I can see what our time is. What's funny, I've told you, it is very thin stroke white. So if I put my hand here like this, it allows me to see the time. We're at 30 minutes. I have a tool. This is called a kneadable eraser. And if, with the talking of the shadow lines, if I wanted to pick up some of this, I could do a nice subtle, I don't know if you can see that, but I am seeing a lightening of this one area that could possibly not have as much shadow being cast. So you always have a variety of ways to lighten up your work. This is one of my favorite ways to just slowly pick up a little bit of the pigment. So I kind of like that better. I just felt that it looked too artificial, being that it was all uniform. So I needed to get these two corners darker and that corner and this corner lighter. So that was the plan there. Now I'm going to play with, I was just starting on the boots here, and I do think I'm going to add a little shadow on both sides. So it's kind of funny. I am coloring down in my room. Absolutely loving coloring down here. It's a much more interesting scenery to stare at than a wall, a window with a hedge on the other side of the window, and the TV. So kind of like coloring down here a lot. My shadow line on the right side will be lighter. And the left side shadows darker. All right, let's do our broom. So continuing on, we're talking about the flip through for this Selena Fenech. In addition to finding Selena, I have signed up for Coloring Heaven. I'm not really interested in doing the subscription service. I don't want to get overwhelmed with a bunch of coloring books. That they do have a mix of artists. I noticed that one of them that's available, I'm not really quite sure about how the system works, but they only have like 5 coloring books right now. They're like magazines, I believe. And Selena Fenech is one of the artists. So I don't know how they have artists. Do they invite them to color a page or two, and how they get paid? I know they don't do AI, which I think is great. So that was more of my research for On the Hunt for Dragons. Dragon coloring. All right, moving on to the rake, and then we will go back to the pots. And then we will be finished. So here's the little picky person in me now that I'm going through this. I do not want to line up this brick so close to the bottom of the rake, but it's done. Too late to fix that now. I can see that I made this brick taller, but I think in the end when I get all the shading in, that extra line that I see will just disappear. It will melt away. Each of the rake tines, let's see if I move it down a little bit here. Heavier shadowing on the left and just a little shadowing on the right. So this light shadowing is kind of messed up a little bit from the close proximity to the brick. And then the brick, yeah, I would have liked to have done something different here, but we will just make do with it. I'm sure once it's all finished, no one will notice it. Just a faint shadow line here. Okay, back to our pots. 37 minutes. We're going to see what we can do here. It will be heavier shadow on the left, but because that light source is in the middle, I have to have some shadow on both sides. Cute daffodils. These little cute guys, which could be pansies, they are going to just have shadows all around them. Lighter shadow on this side and thinner. this right here. We're just going to darken that all up. So I am thinking of a couple of extra videos that I want to kind of get scheduled in. I've got the conversion chart almost finished that I need to weave in, do a little bit of an explanation of it, walk through the color matches. It won't be super long or anything. And then I am thinking, and if you guys want to chime in, I might, since I have to move everything around in the office, I was thinking it might be a great time to go ahead and have all of my sets. I've had them out when I did the small circle flowers. There were 30 of them on a page in Small Victories. I had every single set out. That was quite the gauntlet. I don't think I have another page like that coming up, but I will look and see if there is something like that, because I think I'm gonna do my entire pencil collection very soon here, and give you guys kind of my thoughts on them, how I store them, what they look like. Like I said, you've all seen me use them a lot, and I use all of them. I don't allow myself to play favorites. Okay, so these flowers need a little love here. We should be nearing the end of our time. I have to do brickwork, which I can do. You've seen all the detailed brickwork up here. It's going to come down. I did not quite get as much done on that front, but I did do more on the grass than I was going to do. I get to talking, and that's what happens. So this page is very close to done. This will be the last day I color with you guys in it. I will get that poll going so we can be pretty quick, a quick turnaround on deciding a page, then choose 3 different sets of pencils for you guys to pick from. I have a pretty big gap right here, so I think I'm going to extend what was the original brick. I'm going to do a couple of shadows. Are we going to go a little bit long? Just a little bit? We're at 45. Yeah, we can go a couple more minutes and try to get the basics so you can get a good idea what this is going to look like. Going to the middle tone so I can just sketch in these bricks. I really, really enjoyed this page, you guys. It was fun. And it is, for me, the easiest way to not allow myself to be intimidated is I don't think of it as a whole. I look at it as coloring one area at a time, and just a slow filling in, step back and look, slow filling in another area, step back and look, kind of just a forever moving forward. Don't second guess myself, don't judge myself. And that works for me. So if you guys suffer from analysis paralysis like I do, you want to just make a decision, don't question it. You can choose my colors or close to my colors on these pages. You can choose your own, but don't let it stress you out. That's what we're working on here, is no stress coloring. Fun, relaxing. Pick your favorite time of day. That's why I do this. I don't want it to be live because that's just too stressful. And you guys can come and color whenever it makes sense for you. I have a lot of content available now for you to go back through at your whatever fits for you. As you can hear, Hub is over in his chair hanging out. And so I was started to say this. So my parents are in the screen room hanging out, doing some stuff. Hub was in the garage working on integrating his tools that he brought back. Oh, look at that. See, that looks looking good. And then we all have to coexist. I don't have a big enough space to have like my own. I mean, I can close the blast doors here, but it does get pretty toasty. In the wintertime, it's easier to close the doors. So as you can see, I'm just blocking it in, and I don't know if I'm really going to go much more. I'll add a couple of dots. The bricks are porous, and so is the mortar. So I will be adding some dots here and there, but I'm trying not to overdo it, not to overthink it. Look at that. So down here, it's probably needs some more shadowing. I'll even take this same, this is the middle tone. And I will work on this outside part separate. And I think, and now we have this wonderful swath of light coming down from the afternoon sun. All right, I hope I gave you guys lots of tips and thoughts on coloring that brick and the shadows for behind all of these elements. Take steps back, see what you think. When you think you've got it enough, you still can go darker. I think darker is important to get the highlights right. I don't know how many. So we're at 50 minutes. I am feeling pretty good about where we're at. I hope you enjoyed coloring with me today. I really appreciate you all. Tomorrow we will be back to small victories. We've got the lighthouse in a bottle, and then I'm going to come back and do, when Hub actually goes to take his nap, I'm going to pop on and do a quick walkthrough of my new dragon coloring book. So do all the YouTube things, like, share, comment, consider subscribing, and I will see you all in a little bit. Take care.